So welcome to the walkthrough for Edexcel Higher. It is paper 2, doesn't say a date, but trust me, it is summer 2022. Calc aloud, so here we go. Firstly, laws of indices. Got to multiply when you have a power inside a bracket to a power outside, so it's 3 times 5 to give you 15. Here, not a quadratic, so you've got 4x there and 12. 7 fours are 28. 7 times negative 2 is negative 14x. You can do them in any order. The mark scheme actually puts the x's second, but I do prefer x's before numbers. One of them things. So you've got minus 10x, 4 take away 14. 12 plus 28 gives you 40 on the end. Factorising this, it's a single bracket. So what do they have in common? They're in the 3 times table. The x cubed has 3 x's. The x squared has x times y. So in common, they've got an x times an x. What's left over? Well, you need a 5 to make the 15, and the leftover letters are x plus 1y. Described fully, so don't forget to always state the obvious. It is a translation. It's the same size, same way up, and all that. Pick a vertex and a corresponding vertex. Do some counting. It is 6 up, it's 5 left. So up is the second number, left is the top number, and it's negative to go left. Number 3. When you've got rounding, all right, error intervals always go up and down by half the amount that's been rounded to. So because it's been rounded to the nearest metre, you go up and down by half a metre. So down by half a metre, 89.5. Add it on to get 90.5. Number 4, over the top wordy. All right, definitely one where you can get your teeth into it, but don't overcomplicate. Let's look at Festival A. Area is 80,000. Number of people is 425. So just get on with it. It goes on for a while. It's a long decimal. Don't need to go too far. You want the answer to the nearest whole number, so 1 decimal place is fine. Festival B doesn't give you the area, but it gives you the information to find it. So you could work out that first. I'll do it all in one go. And there are 6,750 people. And to 1 decimal place, that's 207.4 again goes on. If you take them away, I get 19.2. So nearest whole number is 19. And it would have been, no matter how, if you rounded them off to whole numbers, first of all, you would still get 19. This bit, why is Callum wrong? Well, let's not forget that 1 metre squared is 1 metre by 1 metre. Or if you did it in centimetres, so he needs to remember that 1 metre squared is 10,000 centimetres squared. On we go. Number 5. They've given you a little bit of a clue here by not putting lines in. They've just given you an open sort of space. So let's look at a little diagram. They can always help. L is at minus 3, 1. M is up here, 4, 9. So let's look at their distance. Horizontally, that's a movement of 7. Vertically, that's a movement of 8. So that's the movement to get from L to m. To get from m to n, let's look at this line here. How do we get from 2 to 3? Well, you add half on, or in other words, you multiply by 1.5. So if you add on the journey, a movement right 7 will become a movement right 10.5. You add on half. And a movement up of 8 will become a movement up of 8 times 1.5. It'll become a movement of up 12. And to get from m to n, you must start at m. So starting at the x coordinate 4, adding on 10.5, we get to 14.5 along. Same vertically, start at the y coordinate of 9, go up 12, we get to 21. I think quite a tricky early question that, but there we go. Number 6, got good old repeated percentage change. So 679 is the capital. Decreasing at 4% means your multiplier is 0.96 and it's power of 3. I get 600.7357 and so on. It's cash, so we go to the nearest penny. 2 decimal places gives us 74 on the end. Number 7, comparing Spain to Wales. So, in Spain, Sam pays 27 euros, apologies for that, equals 18 litres. Now let's convert both. Let's take the euros, change it into pounds. So that's saying that £22.95 would buy 18 litres. But let's convert the litres at the same time. So let's go euros to pounds by doing that, and litres to gallons by dividing by 4.5. So that, don't forget, is Spain. Let's have a look at Wales. In Wales, Leo pays £40.80 for 8 gallons. As you can see, nice and friendly, these numbers. We can double one or halve the other. I'll halve Wales. £20.40 will buy you 4 gallons. So 4 gallons in Wales costs £20.40. 4 gallons in Spain, £22.95. Is Sam correct? Sam thinks petrol is cheaper in Spain. So no, for this data, Wales is cheaper. Number 8, all I can say is if you don't get the right answer, do insert some brackets. Be careful that the whole thing on the numerator is under the cube root. Make sure you don't have that. The tan 60 needs to be cube rooted as well. So if you get all that, you should be getting 0.73933, etc. But 3 sig figs is asked for, so 0.739. Number 9, do it all in one go. They've nicely given you this formula. So pressure is 187. 187.5 equals force over area. They haven't quite given us the area, but the area is length multiplied by width. And we can just rearrange this. We can just times both sides by x and divide both sides by 187.5. So it looks like this. And it works out to be a lovely 0.8. Number 10. Andrew says that 3/4 is below the lower and upper. Nope, because there's 25% in each section. And there's 4 sections. So between the upper and the lower quartile, there's actually 50% of the information. So Andrew, get that sorted. This one, I'm going to try and do it in real time. Me and technology don't normally mix. Let's see how we go. Got a blue line. Least value at 30, so that's 3 squares. And that's nowhere near, so let's shufty it along. There we go. Greatest is at 350. That'll do. Lower quartile is at 80, so 2 squares off. That'll do. Upper is 260, there's 250, so one little baby more. Bit to the right, methinks. And the median is 170. Hopefully you're quicker than mine. The box goes around the middle. Doesn't matter how chunky your bar is, by the way. Doesn't matter about your whiskers. Again, where you draw them, but that will do nicely. Part C, I won't write it all out. I have written it all out on my worked answers, so feel free to check them out. But at the end of the day, you should make sure for 2 marks that you compare 2 different things. So the online median is greater than the shop median. That's one comparison. And the online interquartile range, or spread, however you want to call it, is greater than the shop. You could say the same about the online range is also bigger. So again, both measures of spread, but don't just say those 2. You must say the top one. Which one of these you say is optional? So over to you. Number 11. So Kieran's got 6 workers, can do the job in 14.5 days. That will give us the total number of days required, which is 87. But we're going to divide it by 7. All right, show that Kieran has enough workers. Well, it turns out to be 6.69-ish, which, as we can definitely see, is less than 7. Number 12. Show they are parallel. Let's just look at them in turn. Let's look at L1. It's already in y equals mx plus c form. So the gradient is the coefficient of x. It's L2 that needs some work. So let's add 10x and take away 4 from both sides. Let's divide both sides by 5. And again, we can see the gradient is matched. So make a statement, same gradient, hence parallel. We'll top it off quite nicely. Number 13, don't do raise for me, do it by counting first of all. So the centre is 0, 0. So if I count left 3, down 2, that means double it and go in the opposite direction. So it becomes right 6, up 4. And you do it like a posh dot to dot, or going from this vertex to that vertex is left 2. So it's going to become right 4. Going to here is going to be down 2, right 1. So up 4, right 2. Up 4, left 2. And you, as you can see, you get your trapezium. It's inverted. Let's do a proper job. No freehand nonsense. We've got standards here. Whoa, that's terrible. Told you I've got standards. That'll do. And that's a bit up. Flipping heck. Come on, technology. There we go. So my preference is do it by counting. You can use the raise to check. Pick a coordinate and make sure it's corresponding. Make sure it goes through the centre of enlargement. There we go. Check all 4 if you want. Number 14, it's an old friend, capture, recapture. Lots of ways of doing this. It depends how your teacher has taught it. Whether you might put the fractions upside down to me, you might put them back to front. No one cares. It's pretty easy. I go for 45 out of 180 is the same proportion as the 305 over the population that we don't know. So obviously we can now multiply by n, multiply by 180. So you do 305 times 180, then divide it by the 45, gives you a nice looking answer of the population of 1220. Number 15, another one of those, not the wordiest I've seen, but getting there. But it is one, it's hidden algebra, folks. It's an annoying hidden algebra. Set it up as normal. Marta has 6 shares to Khalid's 5. They add on £1.50. Whoops. And they get 13 to 11. And obviously you could sit there with guesswork, but the idea is in ratio, it's all in the correct proportion. So there's this unknown amount. There's this 6 times what? What is their hourly pay? 6 times what? Let's call it X. So we can say that if we look at M, 6X added to 1.5 over 5X added to 1.5 is the same proportion as 13 over 11. So if I multiply both sides by 5x plus 1.5 and 11, we get this. Use your calcs if you need to. 66x, 16.5, 65x, 19.5. And when you subtract 65x from both sides, 16.5 from both sides, you get a nice number of 3. So M gets 6 lots of 3, K gets 5 lots of 3. Not a nice looking one, that, but keep it in proportion. But yeah, it's a hidden algebra. Number 16, one of those wordy ones where you have to just go through one thing at a time. So 3-way Venn diagram, take care. 4 is in the intersection of all 3. 16, don't use any. That can slot in nicely. 8, use A and B, but not C. That's that bit there. 14, use B and C. That's the bit there, but that's not 14 because we've got 4 there. So the intersection is 14. 62 in total use type A. That's our problem. We'll come back to that. All 20 who use type C also use one of the others. So none of them use just C. And these 3 crossovers here must add up to 20. So that's got to be a 6. We can now head into this 62 line here. The total of circle A needs to be 62. 62 minus those 3, we're getting 44. Next, we've got a given that. So, forgot to fill in B. do 100, take away all those numbers, you get 12. That was important because you actually need it for the next bit. So part B, given that this customer uses type A, in other words, we only care about these customers. That's our reduced universe. We're talking out of 62 people. The 16, the 0, the 10, the 12, we don't care. So given that this customer uses A, what's the probability they also are in the B circle? That's the 8 and the 4. They are also in the B circle. There we go. And we jump to number 17. Very familiar. They come up all the time, these hemispheres on the bottom and cones on the top. First thing to notice, radius is 3.5. Don't be using 7. And that makes this distance here 3.5. So this height of the cone is y minus 3.5. So let's crack on. The total volume is 120 pi. We've got the volume of the cone. It's a third times pi times the radius squared times the height. This is where it gets a bit messy, but that is the volume of the cone. But then we've also got the hemisphere, so we'll go from 4/3 for a full sphere. We'll go down to 2/3, and that's pi r cubed. First thing you notice, there's a pi in every term. Let's get rid. And let's start just writing out the lines. So bash stuff into your calculator. Here I'm getting a third times 3.5 squared times y. My calc likes its improper fractions. Multiplied by negative. So we've got a third of 3.5 squared times by negative 3.5. So again, my calc loves it to look like that. On the end, the pi's gone. So it's obviously going to be related. It looks very similar to this actually, but it's not the same. 343 over 12. So let's get everything to the left-hand side, because if we want y, I'm not going to write it all out. We need to start with 120 on your calculator, add this nonsense, subtract this nonsense, divide by the coefficient of y. Alright, so add that rubbish, subtract that rubbish, and divide by 49/12. You get 25.887, and on. 3 sig figs, 25.9. Strange I didn't give you a bit more room for that. Would have expected more. It says, and again with these, yes, they've given you 3 lines, not bothered. 1 mark. I wouldn't be going anywhere above 1 line for these. Explain what effect. If we increase the diameter, but the volume doesn't change, alright, it means that you can't just get bigger. If one dimension gets bigger and the volume stays the same, another dimension must decrease. So you need to say that the height decreases. I just can't bother writing the rest. Number 18. Not a very well disguised double trigonometry. All right. In the first triangle, we've got an angle with the sides either side. So it's a cosine rule. And here we'll work out RQ in the first step. and that will give us the side which is opposite to 41, and it wants us to find QS, which is opposite the 88, so part 2 becomes sine rule. I'll call that Y, we'll call it P, who cares? So let's crack on. Consult the formula sheet or rattle it off because you've done so much of it you know it off by heart. Y squared will equal, in any order, 11 and 9.4 both squared and added, minus 2 lots of them times together, which is 206.8, and it's cos of our friendly angle between them. Stick it all in your calculator and square root it. I get 5.0099. It wants the answer to 3 sig figs. 5.1 is fine. And then on part, well, not quite part B, but you know what I mean. We are on to the sine rule. We can say that x divided by the sine of the angle opposite is equal to this number. I actually keep that number in my display, in my calc, so it's more accurate, divided by sine of this 41 here. So 5.01 divided by sine 41 in your calc, but then multiply by sine of 88. And assuming your calc's in the right mode, you should be getting 7.631, etc. That'll be 7.63. Number 19, some functions. The g of 16 means stick 16 into g, so we are cube rooting. Don't forget BIDMAS applies, or stick it all in your calculator. 2 lots of x is 32. 32 take away 5 is 27. Cube rooted is just 3. But you could have done it all in your calc. Find the h of g to the minus 1. Well, let's find g to the minus 1 first. So different teachers explain it differently. I always went with let y equals and rearrange to make x the subject. So let's cube both sides, add 5, and divide by 2. Yep, I'm doing it all in one step. Let's speed it up. So that means we've got the inverse function of g. We just replace the x and the y, interchange them, like so. Now we need to take all that, because you work inside out on composite functions, all this needs to go into there. In other words, we're doing 1 over it. Well, 1 over something means reciprocal. Or in other words, flip it upside down. Again, not an easy question, but don't overcomplicate. It can take a while. Number 20, I've written out in full all the reasons on my work solutions. I'm not going to spend my time and waste your time writing them all out. I'll simply read them. So first job, the angle at the centre is double the angle at the edge, so you halve it. We've got a cyclic quadrilateral here. Opposite angles make 180. So that's 114. Angles on a straight line make 180. So that is 66. And it wants angle CDE, which is there. So we have angles in a triangle. 180, take away 66, take away 16. You get 98 on the dotted line, which is hiding. There it is. Number 21. I make no apologies for this that's about to go stupidly wrong. But if you replace x with a negative x, that is a reflection in the y-axis. So take each coordinate. If that's 3 away, it needs to be 3 away. Take important coordinates. So 5 away, 5 to the other side. That 2 becomes 2 to the other side, and you start to get the shape. This peak is just over 1 away. And then you've got the origin. Now, it's only worth 1 mark, but just don't make a total muck-up of it. Hold your breath. Wish me luck. Because I've labelled all these points, that'll get the mark, even though I'd hope yours is a lot better. This one, what a strange one this is. But here we go. This coordinate, it basically waffles that this coordinate becomes the point R, 90 along. Now 90 is the asymptote and minus 5 down. So that is somewhere here. That's 90, the asymptote. God knows where minus 5 is, but it's just down a bit, isn't it? So how do you move from Q to here? Well, if we go left 180, we get to there. We need to go left another 90 degrees to get to here. So left 270, down 5. So when you've got the graph of tan x, the down 5 is the easy bit. You stick a minus 5 on the end of any equation, and that moves it down 5. How do you move something left? You replace it with plus. I always say horizontally, it's the opposite way around to what you'd expect. So 1 mark for x plus 270, 1 mark for down 5. Number 22, some nice quadratic, and I mean that. I think this is all right, this one. So I did this on my worked answers. Factorise the left, it's our old friend difference of 2 squares. So on a sketch, it's crossing at -7 and +7, and it's asking where is the graph above 0. That's over there. That's greater than 7, and that's down there. That's less than -7. And we'll come back to that. This one's a horrible one to factorise, but I did it anyway. All right, you could use the formula. You've got your calculator, feel free. The formula's just as good. I went for the AC method. 5 times -72 is -360. We need 2 numbers that multiply together to make -360 and add together to make -31. Yes, I used my calc. It was -40 plus 9. Let's factorise each sector, each segment, each half. What have they got in common? 5 and an x. What have these got in common? Just a 9. And I do that quite quick because you've got the double check that they're the same. So one of the brackets is x minus 8. The other bracket is the leftovers, 5x plus 9. So solutions are +8 and -9/5. And again, it's greater than. So it wants to be to the right of 8 and to the left of -9/5. It is 9/5, -9/5, yeah. So let's look at the upper limits. We need to be above 7 and above 8 And the only way that's possible, because we don't want 7.5, the only way that's possible is reject the greater than 7 and accept the greater than 8. Let's look at the lower limits. We're going to reject that one because less than, let's say, -2 is accepted by that one, but not by that one. And it's got to be and, which means both. So we go less than the lowest limit. So we go above the highest limit and less than the lowest limit. So there we go, couple of doozies on that paper. I didn't think a bad paper overall, but I really hope that helped, and I'll see you on the next one.